Ladies and gentlemen, welcome and thank you very much for joining us. This is our weekly program, Diplomacy. I'm Lukaban, the mobile host in the program. We'd like to invite you all to stay with our program till the end. Today I have one guest with me. Gulet, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me.
Well, first of all, who is Gulet, and please share us a little about yourself.
My name is Gulet Abdi. I was born in Jijiga. Then I have been since my childhood life in Addis Ababa, starting from elementary up to my higher education time I was in Addis Ababa. I graduated from Addis Ababa University. I have a BA degree from Addis Ababa University, also a MA on Peace and Security Studies in 2016. Now I work at the Ministry of Women, Children and Youth as a ministry advisor.
Well, that's very fantastic. Let's start our discussion by checking the relationship between the Somali and Oromo people, or Somali. Let's start from that. What's your understanding about that?
Oro-Somali relationship is, in my thinking, it's a recorded relationship. And we cannot get a recorded data or references on the relationships and the history, especially in Ethiopia. We didn't much learn on this, but it will take us back about centuries, 20 centuries or 40 centuries. And if we remember at the Sultanate kingdoms, the Sultanate, all the Sultanate kingdoms in Ethiopia was the Oro-Somali nations. If you remember about Imam Ahmed, the biggest Muslim Sultanate in Ethiopia, not only in Ethiopia, it's also on East Africa, including Somalia, South Kenya, North Kenya, and up to the Ethiopian eastern and northeastern parts. So the two nations have many relationships. We cannot separate from Oromo from Somali and Somali from Oromo. If you take it, the two nations have the largest boundary share each other. When Islamic religion came to Africa, it came throughout the Zela port, which is in Somalia. Starting from there, the business merchants throughout the Oromia to the Ethiopia and to the Sudan. This all are about the Somali and Oromia's nations, and this built historically many times. At the recent times, in our ages, the relationship came politically. It wasn't good as before. There was a blurred thing on the brotherhood of the Oromo Somali people, but this brought by not the socio-economic thing or the nation's interest, but it was brought by the politician interest. And now, thanks to the reform and the new administration, it's getting back to the where it was.
Well, let me take you back to the 2 years back in 2016 or 2017. There was a conflict between border areas of Oromia and Somali, and at the same time there are many life sacrifices paid for the conflict. What's your understanding about the conflict? How you understand it?
As a peace and security student, also one of the a young man who come from the area, my understanding is the conflict is all about the artificial stories, especially it's articulated by the politician. If you go at the conflict time, if you go the Awade, Galamso, Hararge, Babile, Jijiga, and go to the Wachal up to the border, Oromos were there, Somalis were there. There were, if it is the nation's conflict, there will be no Oromo in the Somali and no Somali in the Oromo too. But it wasn't like the battle of the conflict. It wasn't between the people of the Somali and the Oromo. It was the people who are on the power, and they was using the Somalis people. Sometimes the stories I heard about was the people of there didn't know the attackers. Who are the attackers too? Somalis and Oromos was dying together. Not the Somali was not killing his brother Oromo, or the Oromos was not killing his brother Somali, but people who didn't recognizable, or the people that live there didn't know, was coming and making the disastrous and the cause and shameful acts that will be not to be remembered. And you can be sure on that, because of if you see after the post-conflict of that, the people was started just like it wasn't be the conflict. So you cannot be the conflict. I understand like that.
I've also heard as you and your team has been exerting maximum effort in restoring and in calming down in the situation during the conflict and even after the conflict.
Yeah.
Share me about that, please.
Okay. The process or the activities we made was especially what I am proud on it right now. We start from Addis Ababa. The youth in Addis Ababa, especially Kero Finfinne, I have many admiration for them. I love them. And the Somali youth who live in Addis Ababa came together, discussed by their personal owning team. After that, we understand that who can we communicate to address this kind of conflict, because after the reform, after Dr. Abiy came, the problem was stuck. There was not a clash battle, but there is not a security. People wasn't free from trade. The roads was blocked, and there was not movement. If there is not a movement and integration, there is not that kind of relationship is not a relationship we can be said there's a peace. So we discuss about this issue, and we conclude that we have to arrange a youth-to-youth integration, so we can be example for our Oromos and Somalis who are in the two regions, especially to the two borders. And after that, we bring many intellectuals who are knowledgeable on the history of the two nations, and we prepare a symposiums and panel discussions, 2 or 3 panel discussions. After that, OBN was one of the partners with us, and after our mission was to show them the young Oromo and the young Somali, we don't have any problems with each other. The problem was on the political, and that's have been gone. So we have to be back as what we was before. So then the mission was being held successfully. Then we go throughout the region, making awarenesses, panel discussions. Like we held a panel discussion on Haramaya University. We stay one day, and we go to taking the Oromos students and intellectuals go to the Jijiga University, and the two university was helpful for our missions. And throughout that, the road will have started working throughout the system. And Alhamdulillah, it's working like also now. We didn't stop the youth-to-youth integration because politics is temporary. Societal is there everywhere. So if we think as Oromo Somali youth, we think if we build today a system who didn't manipulated or interfered by governmental personal interests, our relationship and livelihood will be sustainable and peacefully for a longer time. At least for our children of the next generation, because the world is changing in fast frequency. So the integration is there. Also, we make because of many Oromos use our approach to the Somalis regions, we made them to organize and make them adapt after the border or beside the border, especially on the Hargeisa. The Oromo youth and population there must be protected and make contact with the youth in the Somalis, Hargeisa Somalis. And that's successfully going on that. We want to go to the Bosaso after Corona, Bosaso, Garowe, because we have many populations. The two nations only, the biggest population in the east, in the Horn is Oromos and Somalis. The two nations only are 18 millions, around 18 millions. So being peaceful and transforming the relation to the development will make the Horn peaceful and developed and prosperous region.
Really. For the future, what should be done in order to solidify this relationship and just used to generate for the next generation? What kind of work should be done in order to strengthen this ever-started relationship between the both nations?
At the Somali sides, we made an NGO called Nabad. Nabad is
peace.
Peace, yeah. And this NGO we transformed it to the TV also. The second TV in the Somalia, and it's owned by women. Her Excellency, also a Minister of Women and Children and Youth. Her Excellency Filsan Abdullahi was the member of the uniting the Somalis and Oromos nations, and especially on the youth focus. And media is now a big instrument on the stabilizing or making disaster too. So we want to make we also on our plans the objectives of the Never TV is to build a mindset of the youth. We want to work on, especially on the mind of the youth, on integrity, especially not being alone. No man is island. So we have to believe on the integrity, on the working together, on the making your ideas, your work, your integration, your business approach with your other Ethiopians, especially on the other Ethiopians, because the region was isolated and the use of the region, Somali region, was more isolated and marginalized on many years. So we want, we are focusing on the integration of the Somali youth and the other Ethiopian youth, and we want also to build the next step, Oromian Nabad Oromian station, also on Amharic language. The two languages are also Ethiopia abroad languages. The third language or population of the Ethiopia is Somali, and we have it. So if we make at least on this, we want to make. We start some strengths and build-ups. Also, that's not enough. We want to go up to scale up, especially on the youth-to-youth integrations and connecting the youth, especially on not basis of the politics and other things, We want to connect on developmental integration, especially on the business integrations. So if there's development, there is not the degree of to make disaster or conflict is very low. We want to use that formulas and others, especially on the Horns.
Exactly. Let me take you back on the 2018 when Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed took office in April 18, 2018. And then after that, many dramatical changes were registered here in Ethiopia, even in the Africa and the world as again. And the Prime Minister has also become a Nobel Peace Prize winners. How do you see the changes after PM Abiy Ahmed took office?
Unbelievable. I didn't. I was on the before 2018, especially on 17 and 16. We was hopeless, especially the young. Many of our people, Kerob brothers, are dying, and the system wasn't look like you will defeat this bloc. Then, with the help of Allah and many patriots people, the change came. Dr. Abiy is elected, and at that moment, the morning we hear about that, people was. I remember my friends around my circle, we all talking about. There's a people who can rule Ethiopia on the way we want. Yeah, okay, let us meet. And after that, he was achieving different achievements, especially mind-blowing things, ideas. You are not, you wasn't thinking about it will be achievable, especially bringing the oppositions in Ethiopia and welcoming by peacefully and preparing for them shelters. At the same time, giving a trainings, a social things I wasn't predicting that, but the administration, his team, the doctor and his team are very, very, very amazing people. I know some of them, and the believing they are thing is the only thing. The more we unite, the more we think coming together, the more we will achieve big things. That kind of thing. If at that moment you will not be standing like the regional thinkings, the village thinking. Our leaders, especially as Ethiopian militaries, they wouldn't see a good eye, because there was a political military thing on that way. There was a good thing on the provision of the security of Somalia, fighting with the Al-Shabaab, something like that. But internally, the people of the Somalia didn't receive many things like Dr. Abiy. Now they think second country, Ethiopia, the flights, we fly 2 times a day in Mogadishu. The first country who flies 2 times a day is Ethiopia to Mogadishu. You can see the integration after Dr. Abiy becoming PM. Also, we can see on our Kenyans there was a border disagreements. We make big influence on the making peaceful our South Sudanese brothers, bringing together the Salva Kiir and President Salva Kiir and the Vice President Riek Machar. Also, the biggest thing, the recent thing was our Sudanese nation brothers. There was under brink of the civil war. And Dr. Abiy take a pic to save that. His role was very, very good, and they count for that for us. So the Horn is on change, and this change of thinking together, I think the mind of Dr. Abiy and His Excellency Mr. Isaias Afwerki, Mr. President Mohamed Farmacho, Mr. President Ismail Omar Guelleh, Salva Kiir, and the new appointed Sudan, they think they matched. Their minds are matched. They knew their togetherness is must for the survival of their nations, and for the peace and security of the region, also for the development of their people and for the countries. I think they say let us grow together and stand up. And the horn, I put on the horn on the future is bright for the horn, especially like me, the Somalis and the Sudanese or the Eritrean my brothers didn't get well educations, health, many necessary or humanitarian things they have to get. But now, as a diplomacy thing, Ethiopia also was there for them. Especially, we used to see many our neighborhood countries in the universities, brothers. Ethiopia gives scholarships to all neighborhood neighbor countries, especially on the educational basis and the health service actions. If you go to the Hargeisa in Bosaso, you will see many health officers, educational professionals, engineers, Ethiopians, who are working in there. And if we continue the peace and security and development and the integration going to continue by this degree, we will see more than this. Somalians coming in our countries, working, investing on our countries, Ethiopians working on Eritreans and investing on the other things. So I think the integration have been improved in many aspects, if you see in many aspects.